Alright, this is something new, so we'll see how it goes. And I guess what we'll do is once he puts the camera on something.
I think he's going in that corner. I think we're going to start at the top and then bring it up to the corner.
And we're going to do the same things we did last time. You bring your tool up here, you lay it down. If you insist on waving it around, you just volunteer to run the camera.
Okay, we can start with this, I guess. Whose is this?
Oh, that's Ken's. Come on, Ken.
Oh, just yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on up. You're the guy.
I was trying to run away. It's just a little quarter horsepower, turns up to 10,000 RPM. And if you saw those little boxes I brought to the show, you want to make 45 degrees on a thin piece of stock, or 3 60-degree angles where they come together at the top. I use it for that. But I'd like to mention the light. I buy those at IKEA. I have probably at least 12 of them. If you notice, it's got a really thin neck. You can bend it. Bend it down towards you want to bend it up now. That's what I like about it.
That is nice.
You can use it with your router. I use it on everything.
Did you put this together? Did you build this, or?
No, I bought that from a company that sells that kind of thing for hobbyists that do like those little trains and so forth.
I don't want to be cameraman, so I'll be happy. Okay, so what I did is I brought some stuff. This is my favorite tool for doing what I do, which is three-dimensional. I like to do three-dimensional. So therefore, in three-dimensional, I have to have the tops of all my items have to be exactly at the same, or I cut them off. So by using this tool, I'm able to come in here like this. I'm able to draw a line here, and I'm able to draw a line here. Then when I put my patterns on, I can make sure that they're on that plane and they're on that plane, and I don't cut the tops off when I do it. That's my three-dimensional, and so this is why this is my favorite tool. I don't really know how it's used how it's used the other way. Okay, now this is my other favorite tool, and I have to move it around to open it up. This is when I cut a lot of birdhouses and small things, and you don't want to get close to the blade on your saw. You can drive it like a car. You know, you put your piece in there, and what's funny about it is these were $5 at the show. You talk about a great deal, because if you make your own, you have to buy those wing nuts, and the price of those wing nuts has gone up to like $1.50 and $1.60 a piece for the stupid wing nuts. Okay, now the other thing that I like is this tool right here. Is that direct? I'm gonna lay it down, I think. Okay, this tool right here, from a standpoint, I call it, this is a steel tool, nothing fancy. But from an electronic type tool, I saw this at one of the shows here. I use it for adjusting my router bits this way. I use it for adjusting my router bits in and out this way. You can also use it for adjusting your table saw, the height of your table saw blade. The other thing that I like to use it on, and people laugh at me, because you can zero it out at any point. So what I do is I bring it in at this angle and pretend this is my scroll saw. This is not my scroll saw blade. This is the bandsaw blade. And what I do is I zero it out at the bandsaw blade with this touching the fence behind. So the fence would be basically this back here. And then what I can do is I can decide, okay, I want to do a half-inch piece or a 3/4 inch piece or whatever, and I get exactly what I want. And I've taken taking the thickness of the blade out of the process by doing that. This I like. This is a great tool for me. It allows me. It's a punch, but it's got the little power, so it gives you a thing. And my last item is thanks to Peachtree. Thanks to Peachtree and their bargain bucket, I got 3 of these gouges. I guess they're bowl gouges. I guess that's what they were. And I got them for $7.99 out of their bargain bucket. And then some guy by the name of Dan, he was kind enough to do what's called the Ellsworth grind on it, which I think is also kind of an Irish grind, they call it too, or whatever, from a scroller who's now a turner a little bit. And I'm very little in turning. But this is my favorite turning tool. If you've ever turned with one, I mean, it's phenomenal. So that's mine.
This has turned out to be one of my favorite tools at the shop. Right now, for the next 2 weeks, Steffi and I have a little Nova MIDI lathe that just sits on a bench, and we wanted to turn bowls, and we tried the whole cut it to the circle and stuff, and the lathe would bounce all the way down the bench. So a friend of mine had something like this, and I adapted it a little bit. So basically this is a sled, and I can make just about perfect circles for getting it on the lathe. So I drill a hole in the center of the blank, it goes on the pin, I can slide the pin back and forth, and then basically you just slide this in until the blade's at the middle there, and there's a stop on the edge here. Just spin the stock, and you got a great circle.
You use that on your bandsaw?
I use it on my bandsaw. Then I have this, so I just take this, stick it through the faceplate. The pin lines up in the hole, screw down the faceplate, and the thing's balanced. So,
Can you do another one of your normal nice shop drawings on the...
sure.
Okay, thank you.
No, I was just gonna do it this way.
There you go.
Yeah, last year, maybe almost a year ago, we took a shop tour to Makita. And they had the workshop set up where you could try all their tools. One of the things they had was this track saw, and I fell in love with it. So I had to buy one. Because I'm a one-man shop. I'm out in my main shop is up in Rabun County. There's not a lot of people I can call to help me. So if I'm working with plywood, and I work with a lot of 1/8" plywood, and if you try to take a 4x8 sheet of 1/8" plywood on a table saw, it just doesn't work very well. So this track saw is beautiful for doing that kind of thing. I can set it up, support it, lay everything out on sawhorses. The saw comes with, it's got a little plastic edge here, and it's a little too big, so the first time you cut it to size. This is your cutting edge. So you mark your wood, you lay that on the edge, and you cut it perfectly straight. The blade on here is a beautiful blade. You get such a smooth edge, it doesn't need any kind of sanding. It's just, it's a glue ready if you wanted to glue them strips together. So it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of equipment. I really love that.
What type of clamps are you using? Are you using a clamp?
I don't use a clamp. It's got the plastic pieces underneath, and unless you've got something, I've never had any problem. I just lay it on there and it doesn't move. So I don't need clamps.
Can you buy longer tracks for that?
Yeah, they have an 8-foot track as well, or you can buy 2 4-foots, and there's a way of connecting them. I haven't seen how that's done, but that's the 2 sizes they have. It's a little over 8 foot, so it'll fit good on 8. So that's kind of my next purchase is an 8-foot track.
Do you need a dedicated saw for that?
Yes, this is a dedicated saw that's all set up to handle this track. So it's a combination. So it's a unit.
Is that the one that you can put, there's a stop, so it'll do just a light
Yes.
cut on the top of there?
Yeah, that's get this back on here. I think it's this. No, let's see. I think it's this button here that you put it, and it'll only go so far, you know. Yeah, that's the one that's got it. This is the one they were showing there at that, I've used the heck out of it, and I really love it.
So would you set a plywood sheet right in the middle of like your full table and then cut right through it and?
What I'll typically do is I'll set up 4 sawhorses, 2 on each side of the cut I'm gonna make.
Okay.
So that you got the
So either
support.
you gotta have exactly the amount you're cutting through and cutting
Yeah,
up your table.
and that seems to work pretty good for me, and particularly when you're talking with this 1/8" stuff, you've got to have it supported. So that the track will usually be sitting over a 2x4, so you support the track as well, keep everything running smooth.
What's the retail on that wall?
I think, yeah, it's 3.5, something like that. It's not cheap, but it's a beautiful piece of equipment.
Cheaper than the competitor.
Yes, the Festool, which also makes a very good one, but it's a lot cheaper than theirs. The other thing I have is this angle finder. My living room is a 7-sided room, and my wife wanted a plate molding, which is something, you know, it's a thin shelf about 2 1/4 inches wide all the way around the room so that she can put her decorative antique plates up there. And it's because it's a 9.5-foot ceiling, so I put it just above the windows. So I got 2 foot above the shelf, so she's got some very fancy antique plates that she can set up there. So I got this, this is a great way to measure the angles so that I can do those moldings and can do the miter joints and so forth. That's what I got it for. But I did use it for that, but what I'm finding I'm really using it for now is those of you who do intarsia and use George's method of copying the pattern into DeltaCAD and so forth. One of the things you have to do is the patterns that you buy, the pieces are all put together and the wood alignments is going in all the different directions. So one of the things you want to do is after you've copied, traced it on DeltaCAD and got the alignment, you want to get all the lines going in the same direction. Well, I just set this up on the base of my monitor, and I can see that, I need to turn it 15 degrees. Do it. It's right on, and I get the alignment for the entire every time.
So my favorite tool is actually routers. I like my Hitachi. Yes, the green tool maker, yeah. So I would have brought in, but I thought Poppy would have brought routers in, so I didn't bother. So I brought in accessories to the routers, and one thing I use is actually the tool clamp, the guide clamp, that I could use for...
I think I thought it moved.
I need to adjust it so I can put it on the table.
Make sure it doesn't move.
Yeah, so it's going to stick. So the guide clamp, adjust to whatever the table or to a piece of material, and then just clamp it by just pressing this thing down, and it actually locks in place pretty nicely. I have a 36-inch one, a 54-inch one, and I think a 4-foot 48-inch one. And sometimes I use them in conjunction, where I'm able to actually set the router in between the clamp and just go along and then make a dado cut. And I also use it for my circular saw also, to make straight cuts. The other thing I like about these things is that you could actually use it to do some light clamping of materials when you're doing glue-ups. So I'll take pieces that I've cut and then actually use a clamp and then just clamp the pieces in place, so especially thinner, flatter pieces that you can't use regular clamps. So that's pretty cool.
Alex, where'd you find those?
This one, I bought this, this might have been Peachtree.
I've got one just like it. I got it.
There's a lot of places that carry
Well, the
those.
thing I was noticing about those, I use those a lot
Yeah.
in my stuff. The thing I like about that particular one is it's a flat top. Makes it really nifty for use with a router.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to use before I got the Makita. That's what I used to cut the straight lines. But then you had to
these are
always
great.
be offset by 1.5 inches, and it wasn't quite that.
Oh, right. Yep. So they're pretty cool. And if you use them together, they make great guides for, you could actually route in between the guides and everything.
It's also got this lip here, you can make a J fixture that rides in
That
that
rides in
groove.
here.
just
Yeah,
like that.
and there's other variations of these also that have grooves inside. And you could actually put clamping items in there inside of it. And there's some with tape measures, with rulers or whatever, so you can actually measure your distance in the. All right, so this one now is a multi-gauge tool. So oh, there it goes. Okay. Like Hans was saying, he uses it for his router, adjusting router bits and depth of the router, and also I also use it for my my table saw, measuring the height of the blade. One thing I like about this and some of these tools is that it's digital, and it's actually pretty precise. And you could get thousands readings and everything. And what I like too about this is that I could go from millimeters, metric measurements to inches, and also this thing has fractional. We have the inches in digital, and then also fractional readings, which is great. So I like converting if I have to do that. If I have to go back and forth between different things. Also, the other nice thing about this thing is that it comes with two heads. So this one has the flat. So if you're trying to gauge something that's flat, a nice flat surface, you could use this. If you're measuring, like I think they said they're using this to also measure weld heights and things like that. But if I need something like that's very sharp, that I need something more precise, then I would use the anvil with the sharp point on here. You're really nervous.
You're trying to take the actual dimensions of something really round, so.
Yeah, so this one will be nice for a nice sharp point inside there, so it'll be pinpoint right into the object. And also sometimes I have a magnet that I attach to this also if I needed to sort of snap into one of the tool bits to sort of stick onto the tool bit, so I could tell when it's actually touching it.
So you just put a rare earth magnet
A rare
on
earth,
here,
right.
and then re-zero it.
Right.
That's a nice part about it. And the other nice part about it is, and I didn't say it either, he said it's not that expensive, guys. It's
Yeah.
what, $15, $12?
Yeah, on sale it was 15. They're about 20. Oh, the other thing too, these are nice, but the only thing I don't like about it is that it's plastic, polycarbonate. I like my tools to be metal somehow. I like the thing of things being aluminum and different types of metal. It's harder. Plastic, you got to worry about warping or things happening, twisting or whatever. But this is a nice tool though for what it is and what it does. And I like the eye gauging line of tools also. They seem to make decent tools even though a lot of them are plastic. And the last one I brought in is my digital caliper. So digital caliper, again, the same thing with the readings. It has like the metric, inches, and also fractional readings also. So this is pretty cool. I'm thinking about getting a one of those digital readout tools that actually has the monitor away from the tool, so I could actually get a longer lengths also. So I might get one of the 12-inch ones and the 24-inch ones. I could measure my router heights and also router distances, and probably make nice, decent adjustments. Nice thing about this tool is that you do inner diameters with this side of the tool, and then the outer diameters inside here, and it also does depth. You could measure the depth gauge, the depth of a material with this end here, by just going in and out, which the eye gauging tool does also. So basically, that's my favorite tools in the shop. I like using a lot.
Something else that on the backside, you can measure distances from the edge of the wood too, from that mark.
Oh, okay.
There, you measure
Yeah.
You want to make a mark along parallel to the edge of the board, you can set that and just run it down. And mark
Yeah.
parallel to the edge of the board.
Right. Oh, also, since this thing is made out of metal, and it's also sharp at the edges, you could actually score your wood. You can actually score your wood using these points here, and then mark it to get accurate markings on the wood. So it describes it nicely. And that's basically it for mine.
Anybody that knows me knows I'm kind of a gadget guy. I kind of like the newest and latest thing. So I saw this online the other day. It's made, it's made by Eclipse, I guess. But I have a regular respirator right now that needs filters really bad. When I breathe, it makes a little pumping sound. So I think I'm way overdue for filters. So I'm having a hard time finding filters for my old respirator. And it's the old style that has the two big things sticking out. And I'm a bit claustrophobic, and I don't really like that thing. So I saw this and I thought I'd give it a try, but I like the low profile of it. Looks like it might be pretty cool. Have y'all seen these yet?
Yeah.
Have y'all seen them? Can you tell me if they're fume rated? I can't tell from the paperwork. It mentions that
It should
it's
have
fume.
different types of filters.
Yeah, and I looked at the paperwork and it mentions fume, but I'm not sure yet. So I don't know if it's fume rated yet or not, so we'll see. So, Garrett Wade. They're not very expensive. It's only $34, and if you buy filters are 20. So I'm having a hard time finding filters to my old respirator, but I'll let y'all know how this goes. I haven't tried it yet, but I just love the design. These two I have tried. When I bought this, I thought, yeah, that's a real gadget there. But this is a center tape tool, and what it is I do a lot of cabinetry work, and I need to know the centers of weird measurements a lot of times, like 34 and a half, or, it may not be a half, might be 34 and 3/8. Well, I don't like to do the math in my head, so you just pull out the tape measure, and it gives you the regular length on one side and the exact half of that on the other side.
Oh, that's slick.
Pretty darn cool. And I find that I'm using it a lot. So, when you're laying out shelving and stuff in a cabinet, it's much easier to do the math if you know the exact center and stuff. I've used this a lot. I don't like the tape measure itself because it's so big. I like a 16 foot, and I'm really particular about my tape measures, either a 16 or a 12, because I feel like I'm more precise with a 16 or 12. But
Have you found
for finding the center, it's awesome.
switching over to the metric system as opposed to the,
Oh man, I'm a science guy. I'm a scientist, and I wish the heck we'd have gone to metric. My God, that would have been so much easier. And I tried. I thought, well, I'll just go metric in my shop. That don't work. It don't work. I can't do it. But anyway, I just thought this was a pretty cool idea, and it worked. I do use this, and this is something I got this past year. I got it for a specific purpose. What it is a laser measurer, and it advertises to be accurate to 1/32 at, I think, 50 feet. And I thought, yeah, right. Yeah, right. But I bought it because I go and do, I make quotes for people to make cabinets for their science stuff, and I need to know pretty close measurements. I'm not going to trust this thing over a tape measure if I'm going to go build a kitchen cabinet. But anyway, I found when I'm trading out work right now with a guy. I'm building his kitchen, and he's going to come and remodel the inside of my house, take out the center wall and that sort of thing. So I needed a drawing of my house, the floor plan, a really pretty accurate drawing. So SketchUp, I thought, well, I'll just start with the outside dimensions, get the rooms inside, and try to make adjustments on the drawing when I get through, figuring on 4.5-inch walls and stuff like that. So I'm going to get pretty close. Amazingly close. When I got through making the SketchUp drawing of my house, it's way more accurate than I thought it would be. And we're talking about making measurements of 70 feet. And it was 70 feet, and it would be definitely within a quarter.
Stanley has an app for a smartphone now. Interface to Stanley's Bluetooth laser.
Oh, really?
And you can use the app and measure a room very accurately, and it automatically transfers from the laser to the...
How cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How cool. I gotta have that. I gotta have that.
I don't know, maybe.
I was just playing around with it in my son's room while I was doing the measurements, and I thought, well, I know that trim right there is a 1/2 inch. So I did the room measurement on the sheetrock, and then I did the same measurement right next to it, sitting on top of the trim. I said it should be a 1/2 inch shorter. Damn.
Wow.
It's pretty darn good. The key is you got to keep it straight, because if it's not, the only way I found to keep it straight is keep it right in the corners. So, if you can stay close to the corners, then you can be pretty straight. Otherwise, it's going to vary a lot because you can do different lines. So it has its limitations, but pretty incredible tool. I think it's only like $100. It's not that much. So. Anyway, I just thought these were pretty cool. I'm a gadget guy. I got 1,000 of these things in my shop. So. What's that?
It was Bosch.
And these have been out for a long time, but they're getting better and better. And this has got really good reviews. To be a small one and to be a lower price one, got great reviews. And I'm on their boat. I like it. Works pretty good. Anyway, that's all I got.
We've all bought tools at the show. You get them home. They don't work like the demonstrator does. Well, this puppy I bought at the show, and it's for pulling stuff out. It'll pull screws out of oak. Yeah, it's a really incredible tool. I do a lot of destruction and building of boats, as most of you know, and a lot of times the bronze screws that they use, the head's gone. All I got to do, if I can get this, I'm going to have to show you, but basically you clamp it down and then you just rock it off, it pops right out. It's an incredible tool. And that's one of the ones I bought at one of the shows maybe 10 years ago.
I was going to say, it wasn't recent.
No. Well, you can see it's been used a lot because I'm using a lot of epoxy and stuff, so that's why it's dirty as it is. And now I'm going to show you something you've never seen before, I think. Has anybody ever seen one of these before? It is a scraper that is excellent. I do a lot of water-based stains, and a lot of times it'll raise up the grain so it doesn't feel smooth. This will take that all off. These right here, and then you can turn it around, and there's another one in here. When I had my Furniture Medic business, this came with the kit that I bought from them. So I don't know where it came from. There's no name on it or anything, but I use that a lot. If you have some varnish drips or paint drips, you let it dry and then scrape it off with this. It will not pick up anything unless there's something on there. It'll not hurt your surface. It'll just take anything off that's on. Yeah, it's an incredible tool, and I've had people ask me where I got it, but you know, for $5,000 you can buy franchise it. Pardon?
There's a label there on the side of it, but do you got anything on it?
Yeah, but you can't read it.
Since Furniture Medic gets most of their stuff from Mohawk in Texas, I would think that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah, they do get a lot from Mohawk, and they get a lot of the stains and varnishes they use from General. Any questions? I can pass this around so you can get a better look at it.
Okay. There's nothing special about these, but I grew up watching Norm, so I'm kind of a shop safety nut. So my favorite tools are my trusty safety glasses.
There you go.
Okay, this is a sander. This was recommended by Steve Good on his website once. I think a bunch of you have it. I tell you, it's great, especially when I do Intasha. After I sand it with the power equipment, I either go flat or, go on the curves, and it really makes it easy on your hands, and it's quick and it works good. And it's very easy. You just flip the knob here, the paper comes in and out. It's very easy to change, very quick. And this is just a great tool. It helps the sanding a lot. This is another Steve Good thing. This is a blower. It's pretty powerful. I have one on each side of the shop. It's good, like after you sand or whatever, you just dust it off. And the thing I actually use it the most for is to dust myself off, because I get so much dust from the sanding. Before I go from the garage to the house, I just blow myself off. All the dust goes away. You just got to make sure never to point it at your eyes, because it's very powerful.
The buzz pretty hard, I guess.
Yeah, I can show if you want to plug it in and you'll see. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is nothing special, but what I'm showing you, okay, This is kind of, it's not hard, but it's not, you know, it's much softer than the metal, so I do a lot of pens, so sometimes you have a part of the pen, like a round top or something you don't want to scratch. So this is magnetic, it just plops and attaches to each side. It's pretty strong, and you press it, and you know, you don't scratch what you're trying to press in.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Where'd you get them, sir?
Yeah, I like it.
I can't remember if I got it from Lowe's or Amazon, because I think both of them have it. I think I got it in one, and my friend Tony, I don't know if he's here, he got it from the other ones. I don't remember which of us was which.
Mine is soft wood, but
Well, this is in wood. This is not wood.
It's been using hard pieces of oak for mine to do
Yeah.
the job, and they've always had.
Yeah, and this is magnetic, so it sticks to it. Okay, and, oh, we're back to this thing. Okay. Very, very strong. Okay.
What is the blower called?
It's called the Datavac Electric Duster.
Set it down on the table.
Oh, I had to turn it to
They
read.
started out making them for the computer
Yeah.
and the IT groups. Our group uses
Yeah.
it instead of canned air.
Except it's so strong, I think you
Yeah.
kill the computer with this.
Well, the problem with the canned air is if you spray too long, you start spraying the liquid.
Right,
and
yeah.
you'll-
Yeah, it also saves a lot of, I mean, this was like, I think around $50-something, and after a few weeks, it's much cheaper than the canned air.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to trip over this. Okay, going back to pens again. Okay, this is a little tool, and you see it has the grooves here, so if I have a pen blank, I just put this over it, mark the pen, then turn it, mark it, and I get my center so I know where to drill. It's just very convenient. Just a little thing on a keychain. And this, everybody thinks, is to open a paint can, which it does do, but when I do a pen, now this doesn't work for all size pen blanks, but for most it does, so when I have to glue it up, when I have to glue the blank on this thing, I just hold this, stick it on, and run the glue around, and I don't have to touch it. Then I just push the wood into that, again without really touching it too much. I still wear gloves, but it makes it a lot easier to get the tube into the blank without too much of a mess.
I won't belabor this one. It's another depth gauge. There is a take-home message here. 3 of us have brought in, although they're different brands, the same tool as being one of the handiest tools in the workshop. It is. This happens to be the senior model. It shuts itself off. So you go through less batteries.
and it's also magnetic on the bottom.
Yes, it is.
Actually, the eye gauging one turns off too, the same way.
Ah,
If you leave it out, it turns off by itself.
okay. So this is a very simple tool, no batteries. It's a Stanley, it's some kind of a plane. Anybody know what?
Surfform.
Okay.
Came out in the late 60s or early 70s.
Incredibly handy. I hope you can still buy blades for it, but the blades on this one are still sharp. You aren't doing your fine ribbon planing with it, but if you've got a little bit to take off, it's ready to go, and it's just really handy.
Yeah.
No batteries.
This is one of the dumbest things, but I love it, these things. I always had trouble sharpening knives. I always wanted to have a sharp knife, and you're always trying to hold it at the right angle, and you're always buying. I bought all sorts of jigs for a lot of money. This was, you can get these for about less than $15. And all they do, is they, here, let me try this one. They clamp on the back of the knife. Yep, need the little one. You have one for thick knife, one for thin knife. They clamp on the back of the knife, and then when you're holding the knife on the stone, it's an exact 15-degree angle. All the time. It says they're cheap, and you have some paper in that. These knives, by the way, are from World War II. They had been left in boxes. They were rusty and whatever And you can try, anybody wants to try them out, or I can pass them around. They're sharp as all get out. In fact, to show you how the bevel stays the same, I don't know, let me see if I can get you that. You see the bevel on that? The bevel is to the point where you could use it as a mirror. It's so flat. It's made by a company called, I'm just trying to move it a little bit so you can see how it is. You can find it from a company called Minnow Sharp, M-I-N-O Sharp. And you can find them on the internet. As I say, I've used them. The only dangerous thing is on some knives that are big like this, they get so tight. Here, let me go to the edge of this table. So I'd be holding it on the stone. You just go back and forth. That's all it is.
Good idea, simple.
It's very, very simple.
What about the curved part? What do you do on that? The curved part, the front?
It's a little tougher, but
Get an idea of the angle.
when I take the, and this one is one of the thickest knives I would do, when I'm doing the curved part, I just go like that. It will work as I say, they're very sharp. This one, when my father-in-law passed away, we found this in a box from, I'm sure it was in the box from 1945. And this is a big, heavy knife. Oops. I'll pass it around, you'll see.
Everybody can shave with it.
Actually, you can. I'm running out of hairs on my arm, but they're that sharp, or they produce a knife that's that sharp. Next. By the way, the blade won't feel that sharp, but it really is.
This is two drills that came in this kit. One's an impact, one's a regular drill. I do a lot of disassembly and assembly, and I'm tired of turning my wrist, so this does a super job of taking things apart and putting them back together. It's not really an expensive drill. I know you use them when fixing your saws, so yeah, I use this a lot, especially the impact tool when it comes to putting in screws into things hardwoods.
Charge time is only about 10 minutes.
Yep, 10 minutes on the charger. It comes with, mine came in a kit with the impact, this one, and a charger, and it was about $129.
What brand is that?
Makita.
Rob, similar to Walt, when Rob went to the Makita 2 years ago, he changed out all his to those.
Yeah, that first Makita tour that we did was good for about $10,000 worth of sales to Makita that following week.
Well, I mean, I learned more about batteries than anything else in that tour. That was the best tour that I went on.
Also, the fact that you lock your bits in, I didn't realize you have that last click to lock your bits. You remember when you said that? Yep. I didn't realize they did that either. So
The other nice thing about the Makitas is you can trigger the light.
yeah, that has.
Instead of having to have the thing turn while you're trying to find the screw in that dark corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go next here.
You can wave it around all you want, Dan.
Yeah. I use these for any time I'm on the table saw or bandsaw. These are in my hands before I turn the thing on. I've been using these same ones for, I don't know, probably 10 years or so.
Made out of maple? Looks like it.
No, I think it's tuba board.
Oh, 2x4.
And like I said, I've had this for, I'm guessing 5 to 10 years or so, and I finally christened it. I introduced it to the saw blade just this week.
Oh.
And if I'd have been using my hand instead of that, then probably my hand on the saw blade.
Mine is not nearly that pretty.
But, I think there's a pattern that came out, was in shop notes years ago, the pattern. But it's just made out of, 1x material. 3/4 inch thick material, and then you just bandsaw the profile that way and bandsaw the profile that way and sand round off the corners.
What's okay, I see the push. What's the point help you do?
Well, when I'm cutting something on the table saw, I've got one, okay, I've got the, this is the notch back here is on the piece of the wood, pushing the wood, and this one's up here in front of it, and I go through like that. So I've got firm control of both ends of the piece I'm cutting.
And to keep it on the table.
Right. And I can, the point lets me, get a little grip on it, and I keep it firmly against the fence also. Now, I've seen, we had Ted Baldwin, he had his favorite push block. Well, it was a long thing about, like I said, like a saw handle on it. You really can't control that point up there. You're holding it back here, and you're not really controlling that point. You can't keep it pushed in against the fence. With this one here, I'm holding the back here against the fence. I got the point up here against the fence. I'm holding it down, and I'm holding it against the fence also.
When I was working in the shop, I thought to myself, well, my favorite tool is really whatever I was using that day. So I picked up whatever I was using that day, which I love these things because you can one-handed, get a hold of a couple of things and secure it quickly. To be able to hold something so you can free your hands up and go do something with it. One of the other tools that I got real fond of, Jane Burke tried to introduce me to X-Acto knives, and I had trouble with that round handle on the X-Acto knives, being able to control the thing. And then Paul Search came along, and he had dozens of these things that he was passing out in class. So I decided to try one, and it's actually a surgeon's scalpel with a 10A blade on it. And I found I could control this a whole lot better than one of those round ones. So I do all kinds of stuff with them. I'll mark with them, I'll cut paper, cut veneer.
Interchangeable?
Yes. There's a holder apparatus right here. What you have to do is get a hold of the blade with another tool, obviously, because this thing is sharp. These blades also stay a whole lot sharper than an X-Acto blade, and you can run them across a burnisher to clean them up to make them last longer. But you actually insert the blade in there. So this, I don't know if we can't catch it on the camera, but I'll leave it laying out here. But this piece is actually tapered, so that as you insert the thing in there, this guide is actually engaging in the blade, and when it reaches the maximum, it drops down. So trying to get one of these blades out without breaking it is just about impossible. So usually what I do when I'm ready to change one, I just break it off. So I'll leave this laying up here. Be careful if you touch it, because you're very likely to bleed. This is another acquisition that I made. A lot of you know I like to do fine finishing, and I was having trouble, getting the finish that I was really pleased with. Usually requires a lot of work after you're done with it, a lot of tinkering, and it usually requires a lot of tinkering on a gun, especially the ones that have the paint reservoir with the gun. You're in there trying to get a cabinet, you're trying to get the underside of the cabinet, you tip it up, and next thing you know, you're starving the thing for product. So after going over to Ricky's and seeing that he had one of these things, then I found out his dad had 3 of them.
Wouldn't sell him one, though.
He could not even think of parting with one of these things. He might need it someday. So I decided to go buy one.
And you tried.
Yeah, I tried to get him to part with one.
He's a hoarder. He ain't gonna sell
Yeah.
anything.
But anyway, I got this thing, bought this thing as a Christmas present to myself a little over a year ago. And the nifty thing about it is that you take the entire can of product that you're gonna do, be it a quart can or a gallon, you drop it down in there. So you don't need to pour it in. You just stick the whole can down in there. Put this down in it. Obviously clamp it down, because what winds up happening is once you apply air to this thing through this air inlet, it supplies 5 pounds of air pressure, and that is really sensitive. 1 pound more or less makes a huge difference.
That's part of your adjustment.
Yeah.
Believe me.
In that can of whatever you've got, that finish in there, it'll stay, because that pressure in there, it'll stay.
Well, it forces it through the hoses.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying the can itself physically stays.
Yeah, it physically stays there. Obviously, you want to be careful about moving the thing, because it is an open container in there.
That's what the liner's for.
Pressure if it
You
takes.
buy those liners.
About 35 to 40 pounds on the gun. So it's got 2 different regulators to adjust all that with. So you supply 60 to 80 psi to this port, and then these 2 regulators. One takes care of the pot pressure, and the other takes care of the air pressure coming out of the gun.
How big a compressor do you need to run that?
It doesn't need to be very big at all.
Let's go on the pancake ones to work.
It could, yeah. It's probably going to run a lot.
Not really that bad. I've used it with a pancake. Well, on site, if I need to touch up some face frames or touch up some doors after I install or something like that, it'll run off a pancake.
So the only volume is the paint that's coming out.
Yeah, but
well,
I don't use but about 18 pounds at the gun. And that's 18 pounds when you pull the trigger. You'll notice when you pull the trigger, the pressure will go down. You don't want pressure to the gun to be your gauge. And that changes a lot in terms of temperature of the day, humidity of the day, how thick your material is.
How about cleanup?
Huh?
How about cleanup? Is that?
They're really easy to clean. People
Yeah.
think they're a pain in the ass cleaning all that hose, but it is. It's very, very simple. I clean this as fast as I can clean a top-loading gun, literally.
The cleanup on this, the easiest way I found to do it is take a one of the air chucks from your air compressor that's got a rubber end on it, stick it right on the end of here, and aim this back into the can that you just took out, pull the trigger, and just continue to hold that for 20 or 30 seconds until all the product is out. Then run some solvent through there. In my case it'd be lacquer thinner or something like that, and then that winds up clearing it out.
What if it's a satin finish that needs to be bleached frequently? Is that
They do make units like this that have an agitator in there.
That's a stir. Works off air.
About how much is that?
I've got about $900 invested in this. So it's not for the faint of heart.
I've got exactly the same one. I have $120 in.
Did you buy from your dad?
But you got to be patient on Craigslist. You'll find an outfit that's selling a bunch of them. It doesn't look like
that's
they
a
own.
big spot, right?
Mine's not nearly that pretty.
Yeah, Rob just recently came across one that we found in a pile of stuff in the middle of an estate sale. He didn't pay anything for it.
Yeah, you can find
A little bit of work to overhaul it.
in industry. This is a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by the time we bought the seal for the top, that was $20, the tube on there, and the hoses.
The hoses are $45 for. I got 15-foot hoses.
Yeah, that's what we got.
$45 for both of them.
The selling point to me when I used one of these things was that when you take a fresh board that you're putting some sanding sealer on or something like that, you pull the trigger and swipe that thing across there, and you see this fog coming out of the end. I mean, it's not a mist, it's a fog. And it's a lot of material going out there in a hurry, so you gotta move pretty quick.
The learning curve to it.
Yeah,
Not too bad.
but I mean, you look at that thing and you're going, I'm waiting on the thing to dissipate, and it's already dissipated.
Is that BINKS?
Yes, that's great.
There's a lot of brands out there, Binks makes it. My can is like $100, our price is $70.
Let me set that one down. No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Got yours yet?
I had to bring in something, and I could not think of anything that was my favorite tool, so. There you go. They pick on me about gluing all the time.
And that's less than a week's supply.
Amen.
I do buy this stuff by the gallon. I've never had it dry out to the point I couldn't use it. You know, so I am turning it over less than a year for each bottle. So, between the glue and the brushes, I don't know why these chip brushes, I use them over and over again. And when I'm doing stuff like the Scosa work, when I make a pattern, and then I go out there and cut it out, when I'm done, I put the spray adhesive on it and put it on. When I'm done with it, I come out and I put mineral spirits on it. So I use this brush, I clean it all off, and then I come over there and I put tung oil on it and clean it off, and then I clean the whole brush off. I use these for like a year, and it always irritates me when I have to give up one of my brushes. You know, where you get a whole box for $2, but you know, it bothers me to. But that's my favorite tool.
Big toast of Don is there. All right, is that everybody?
I think so.
Actually, I thought it was pretty fun. Thanks to Hans for a great idea for a class.
Great idea.
That's how it starts. Just give me ideas and we'll try to work out.